Plan has been for a new Fight Night to come. Originally, the plan was to release in between the next two UFC. From what I know and what multiple sources have told me, EA is once again working on Fight Night.
Everyone says they want a new Fight Night, but let's be real. In 2025, EA is not delivering a good boxing game, because the game you want is just not what we're gonna get. We didn't hear any news about Fight Night until ESBC was a thing. So the very first news we heard about another Fight Night revival the first time was Codename Moneyball from Tom Henderson, who is a reputable Call of Duty reporter. He reports on dude's track record. It's crazy, right? So when this came out, it was pretty big. ESBC dropped that trailer, the one that has like 1 million views, right? And then we saw the news about Fight Night, Codename Moneyball. They were preparing for that after some of the UFC games that was gonna come out. Last year, before Undisputed comes out in September, Mike Straw gets on stream and says that Fight Night is officially on the table and will be made. Now, we don't have anything officially from EA themselves about this, but I think it's just particularly interesting that they didn't care about this franchise at all until they had direct competition. And this is what I've been saying for the EA games for the longest. You need direct competition to create this type of landscape within this genre, this niche of combat sports gaming, because it's very stale right now. EA dominates the market pretty much with the UFC games, because before then that's the only modded combat sports game we had was the UFC games. Now we got Undisputed, and they're trying to turn it around, the ship around over there, and then we got EA with UFC dwindling down. So I don't know how Fight Night fits into that, because the same people who make the UFC games are making the Fight Night games. And I don't mean EA, I mean the actual studio, EA Vancouver, EA Canada, whatever you want to call them. These guys made, I believe, round 4 Fight Night Champion, and they're more than likely going to make this one. Now, I'm gonna say this: we seen with college football, the studios who made college football before and who made Madden didn't make college football 25. It was a whole new sector, a whole new studio. Could we possibly see that for Fight Night? Because if that's the case, I'm optimistic. But outside of that, I just don't see how this works. I don't. We're gonna get microtransactions out the butt. You're gonna have to pay for fighters. I'm gonna say something, and this is gonna like shock people. When people say, "Well, UFC 5 releases free fighters," why we can't? Because the guys who are under the UFC contract, they work for a company. In boxing, everyone's basically a free contractor. They mercenaries, pretty much. You sign to a promotion to exclusively fight under that brand or under that that moniker, but they don't own like your rights. You can't. They don't tie you down, pretty much. So they can go shop around. That's why Anthony Joshua can be in UFC 4 and then possibly be in Undisputed. Why Tyson Fury can be in UFC 4 and then be in Undisputed. That's how it works. We're never gonna see Conor McGregor in Undisputed. We're never gonna see Dustin Poirier or Nate Diaz in Undisputed. It's just not gonna happen, because those guys are tied down. Plus, EA makes more. They make more money off of the alter egos than they do actually adding modern fighters in. So when you got these guys who are gonna be asking for a lot of money, that's the reason why. So even though Undisputed has over 200 fighters in the game, it's the reason why they don't have all of the modern boxers, because these guys' prices are crazy. Reportedly Floyd was asking for 10 million, and then I believe Andre Ward asked for about $1 million and being Undisputed. So you look at EA Sports, are they willing to go through these contract negotiations to get these big names? Because that was one of the problems with Fight Night Champion. Fight Night Champion particularly did not sell well, which ended the series. If you don't know, just a quick synopsis. Fight Night Champion comes out. It was not received well on release. A lot of people don't, really know that because they weren't around at the time. But if you go through the research, it's there. It didn't particularly do well on release, and they tried a couple of different things. I believe Dr. Stoppages was in the game, and then they took that out because it was cheesy, and then everything, right? But the story mode was great. It was really received well, but that just the overall game, the boxing was really lacking. The online wasn't really the best. the roster was really a big thing, and that wasn't the best either. And they were releasing DLC, you know, the young George Foreman, Bare Knuckle, Jack Dempsey, Jack Johnson. That's that sort of thing. But it just didn't work. And then after a while, they were like, we're not making it because the ROI on making Fight Night, on making boxing games just wasn't there. The interest from round 4 to champion just was not there for boxing games. So they say, fuck it, we leaving. And then 3 years later, they signed an exclusive license with the UFC. So, I mean, it just makes sense. You know what I mean? It makes sense for them to come back now, but it makes sense for them to stop. I'm going to just be honest. And I'm not particularly a fan of Fight Night Champion. I don't think Fight Night Champion is good. And honestly speaking, I don't think this new Fight Night is going to be good either, bro. I think after the honeymoon phase, people are like, oh my goodness, Fight Night Champion is back. This is going to be one of the most arcadey and broken boxing games we've had since Fight Night Champion. I really do believe that. Look at the boxing in UFC 5 and tell me that the boxing in the new Fight Night is going to be good. A boxing game where there's no wall or restriction on combos. You know what I mean? So if you don't know, in UFC, there's some sort of restriction on combos. You can't really flow with combos. So if you throw a 1, 2, 3, you can't double up on a 3. Like bam, bam. You can't do that. It's like a pause in between every 3 punches, right? And with Undisputed, it's just like a flow. You just flow. You can throw 10 in a row with that. That kind of simulates. Like it doesn't simulate boxing to a T, but that style, when you think about that, that's more boxing than, you know, what UFC 5 has. And then UFC 5 has multiple tracking problems. The uppercut is it's kind of crazy, right? So I'm interested to see what they do. I just don't have faith in it, and I don't know why people are championing it on. I don't. I just don't get it. We sit here and talk about how trash the UFC 5 series has been, and then we're gonna champion the same studio making a Fight Night game just because it's boxing. I really don't understand it. And then plus, do we know if they have any boxers signed currently? Like, we don't know anything. This game could very well not even come out. Like, I'm gonna keep it a bean. I trust Mike Strauss' word, dude. Though I do think he isn't lying. I think he's fairly truthful with the things he comes out with. I mean, he licked UFC 5, so the dude has moles over in that studio. So I do believe Fight Night will come out eventually. But who's to say they say, you know what? We don't need this. We don't need to deal with this community. You see how they trash Undisputed? We don't need to do that. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. We'll see. But I honestly think that because Undisputed made $1 million, they see that Fight Night is gonna make more than $1 million opening, but they're probably gonna make close to $2 to $3 million off of that revival, probably even more. I'm not gonna lie, that's gonna be the highest selling EA game that year. Mark my words, if it does come out. All right, but y'all let me know down below in the comment section what y'all think. I just don't think this is gonna be. It's not gonna go as well as people think. So y'all let me know down below in the comment section what y'all think. Peace, love, and prosperity. Do something productive with your day. BDM, it's not productive. It's been JMMA. Use the comment section as a discussion forum as always.